Not exactly seamless, but good enough. Oh, and of course, as soon as I do this, taskbar pops up. Right. So, as I said, I'm not going to do... I'm going to move myself out of the way while we do draft. I'm not going to look at the whole drafts because I don't want to like watch through it. I'm just going to talk about what I think. So Shio, of course, likes Zyra. Maokai's been a lot higher prio, I think, in LEC than I've seen from other places, but that could just be because I'm a day or so behind. The Cassante first pick we've seen a few times. I think it's not good when Cassante's in the point to be first picked when he's that level of champion. But is what it is. Then Corki Victor. This is a good pick into the Victor, but also Jackie's likes it a lot. So then you've got kind of two things where you probably want to be prioritizing the Victor. It's just been nerfed, so it's probably not going to be first picked. And you say, right, chances are it won't be. But the other thing that's really useful is this is not our answer to Akali, but it's their answer. And those are very good bans, right? Because you're not impeding your own champion pool while also denying something from the enemy. Wait, is this is how it works, right? Like, I'm actually gonna have to check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it 1, 2, 3, these three, and then 4, 5? Because you could still go Akali here, of course. I think it might be the other way. Let me just check. Yeah, okay. So it's the 4-5 on this is bands 4 and 5. Yeah, so it goes Skarner. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, so Skarner just has to be banned. I don't understand why the champ wasn't nerfed. It was 100% pick ban, and then it didn't get nerfed at all, so it will stay the same way. Rumble, I think, is really strong. Sedge is the same. These are not like you have to ban them, but they're very strong. This one is you just have to on red. This, I think, especially if you're not willing to first pick it, really big. I don't think of it so much as a Noah champ. Maybe it is. But I think they don't want it to first pick it. This is a good answer to Vi that they like and we don't. This is just a powerful pick that flexes, and on red side, flexes are always better. Then here, once you've taken these two, your options here as Giant X is you either secure more power picks for ourselves. So we know it's Corki bot, right? So we either take reply into Corki, and then here we either take reply into Victor or we secure a jungler. So the question that you're always asking as Giant X in this draft, if you're the coach, is you answer, hey, Crazy, thanks for the sub. So you ask, do we have 3 picks? Do we have 3 options into whatever they want to take? So in this case, into the Victor. And if Jackie's has 3, then it's like, okay, now I can decide, do I take a power pick away, like Vi, for example, when this Zyra's already gone? Or do I just take a mid? And because you have 3 options, you're almost always to secure another power pick if you can. So Varus is a kind of trade for the Corki, then Victor in mid versus Cassante in top. And the same thing applies. Like, do you have 3 answers into Cassante? If not, you take it. If you don't, then maybe you take an answer to Vi. Or I guess the other thing, like if you're on this 3 here, you're thinking 3 different options. Either we counter their jungler straight away, we counter their top straight away, or is there another power pick? By this point, there probably isn't. And also you want to be building for your specific comp. And so here you have the Ambessa secured, and you're going to lose 2 junglers that are good into Vi, and you take your third choice there. Then in terms of like the 4-5, I can't remember, what does it end up being, Renata? Can you hear this at all? It's not coming through on the thing that says desktop audio. Wait 1 second. Okay, this will be why. Okay, maybe it's not why. I just tried to change it and it still isn't playing. So Okay. Wow. Something's going well. Something's very scuffed. I have no idea why you can't hear this. But what I'll do is for now, I'll mute it. And so that we're at least both hearing the same thing. Hey, Corrigan. Welcome to the... We're just starting the first game of the LEC review. So I was talking about draft. So on 3, like I say, you're asking those same questions. Do we have multiple options in top? Do we have multiple options in jungle? And you should always assume like they're going to ban the best choices. This is where it comes to this like risk thing that we were talking about before. So let's say you're 0-4 and you're playing against the team that's 3-1. Maybe you do be a bit risky and you say, right, we take our top here and we hope that they don't ban whatever jungle answer we want into Vi. But in these kind of matchups, I wouldn't be doing that risk. If you had like one really good option in both places, you have to just decide and assume that they're going to ban the rest. Also depends on what your answer is, because these answers are super common ones. So that probably doesn't really help here. I don't really know the Corki Renata lane at all, so interesting. The other thing is that Renata's really good like against dive, so against like Vi and stuff like that. It's annoying, but they haven't got full dive. If you're going to take Renata as well, like this, you could maybe swap this for Azir, and then if they go Akali, then Renata is against a bunch of different melees, but still just super comfortable on it. So yeah, lots of things that you're kind of balancing in a draft like that. In terms of what each composition just wants to do, you do have the Azir who can kind of play both. I think nowadays you do tend to play like this ranged, more damage dealing Azir, and especially with this, it's not going to be like diving in with everyone else. Azir on a side lane is stronger than Victor on a side lane, although they do sort of nullify each other out a bit. Let me see where I put myself quickly. Okay, that'll do for now. So this bot lane, anytime you've got ranged support, your bot lane, especially at level 1, is going to be almost always stronger, because you can't necessarily force an engage early on. So I think this is a big reason as well why we want to see the swap. But let me jump back, see what we're looking at. So Heretics invade on bot side to try and put the vision down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on like ×2. Anytime you put vision down, I mean, they know anyway because they see him, but you have to assume that the enemy has also put some vision down. So they should know where it is. The Giant X want, I would have thought Giant X want the swap here, because they've got someone into Ambessa. Cassante does much better with low resources than Ambessa. Does much better in the tower dive than Ambessa. Maybe, so they saw, okay, so they saw Carlson top. And because they hadn't seen, yeah, so they saw Carlson top and they hadn't seen Flackid. So they start going towards top side. Flackid and then just play in mid lane until the last moment. They run where a ward is, which I think is a bit silly, considering they know that that's where the ward is, or they should know. And we end up having the 2v2 and the 1v1, but I think this is worse for Heretics. Sorry, for Giant X, but they knew it was coming. So maybe you go late enough that you're committed to the swap. But this happens, right? Because you've got range support versus melee support. So you get pushed in and your Cassante Short is doing fine early on into Ambessa, but Ambessa is just much worse in the lane swap. So because of the lane states as they are, you've got push in top as Heretics, push in bot as Giant X, and mid lane seems like also push in mid. So that's why this invade happens. And anytime you're in this situation where you've got, the two different sides that of an area that you're being pushed in on, you always need to be afraid of the invade. So push here means this area is super dangerous. There you go. That's the right size. Got there in the end. So he just jumps in. Like, he doesn't need to see Vi. He just jumps over because he knows he's safe. He knows he's got the support coming. They're already on the way rather than waiting until they're all there. Let me try again. So the properties for my like desktop audio are the same as here. But it's just not appearing on the actual OBS. So, who knows? You could hear the music, I assume, I hope, in the breaks, but oh well, sorry, I'll start getting distracted. So now there's going to be a fight around here. Doesn't need to smite, takes away blue buff. So because of the pathing, you lose blue buff. So if you had have known that these lanes are going to be matched, if you want to avoid losing this blue, you have to do something weird. Okay, you weren't hearing music in the break either. Oh, that's a tragedy. So if you wanted to like secure this blue, you either have to do this and path that way. But if your bot lane's in danger, then that can be top lane in this case. But if your 2v2 is in danger, then that can be a shame. That can be something we can't do. But other than that, you have to just know that these camps are going to go. But to be honest, I think they wanted to play they thought they were playing for the swap, in which case you went top and then Flacked showed late. So it ended up being a 2v2 again. And now you lose probably double scuttle and blue buff, but it's probably just one scuttle each. So you reset and you come out on the other side. Thanks. Yeah, I played music during the break. Oh, I mean, oh no, it's just a disaster from both sides. Like, so why are we? Oh, he just miscalculates the mana. Yeah, that's a miscalculation. And then he walks. Yeah. These are two young rookie project prospects in LEC. But I do think they're both good, by the way, but that's just funny. The 2v2 trade, like, because they go a little bit aggressive for the kill, like, it's not quite as good as it otherwise would be, but you still are winning this 2v2. The TP advantage means you hold the wave, though, because they can't stop him because Varus is coming back. Yeah, I think if you can... Wait, his Q maybe is on cooldown. I think you get the shield when you hit someone, right? So if this hits, then I think he wins because he gets the shield and he has mana. But if his Q either didn't have mana or didn't have the cooldown, then he can't rechange it. So, like, redirect it. What's my opinion on Camille's glasses? I'll have to look properly. We come straight out of a review and there's, a replay, and there's already more kills in mid. Okay. He just gets scooped back because he's got no flash. So mid flash being down is like really, really bad. So the fact that he also didn't live from it is crazy because you're now going to have it down for the 6 in mid lane. But because they use the tools, the ult from mid and he has the base with no TP, you actually still can get prio because, grubs, because they just push through mid instead. So bot lane goes to mid, they push through mid and they take grubbies. Then they're probably going to keep going and go all the way to top. Don't think they needed to drop that wave. I think Victor can just go top lane here. I don't know why Victor's going mid. Either way, like either Flakked can come top and collect the wave before it hits the tower. If they like that mid lane matchup, that's fine. You could have had Victor go top though, and then your bot lane can go back to mid, and also makes the dragon a little bit difficult potentially. But Corki's just resetting, so if he wants to just push one wave and then reset, then it can be understandable. Okay. It is annoying that we don't have the audio. And I have literally no idea. How was Munich in the end? Munich was nice. Didn't see enough of it, but it was nice. So, I'm going to look again for different settings for audio because it is worth it, right? If I can fix it so you're not just having this pause in between me talking. Desktop audio. No, anyone have any idea why this wouldn't work? So as you don't have rent and a place to live. Well, good for us then. It was okay for that one time. Okay, still not working. No audio coming through. Oh, true. I could do that as a different thing. But if I do window capture, it's not going to come with audio, right? Or does it? No, it doesn't. Okay. We'll work it out together. Or we'll give up together. Okay. Application audio capture. Window. LEC. Application audio. No, it just doesn't. Even that just doesn't work. So I put a whole new thing in as okay. This is what OBS looks like currently. I put this in and it didn't seem to do any different. So this is on the same thing as my headset and I hear it. But then you can't, right? Okay. What else could it be? I'm using this multi-stream thing, so maybe that's the problem. In which case there's nothing I can do to fix it now and I need to just set up the multi-stream properly later somehow. Okay, we'll get back to it. It'll just be silent and I'll try and keep talking to make sure that it's not just super boring. So, right, they've got the grubs, trade it for the dragon. Like I said, lane assignment was slightly strange. Now, like it's coming mid. They're going to play through mid. Nothing's coming up though, so they're just playing through mid for fun. Because you don't have to be top. And instead, Noah's going to push a wave top, which forces Flacker to respond. And now you're going to have a time to do something as a group. And so Closer walks in towards the jungle, but he's not going to go too deep. So the other thing you can do here, like if they had a stronger push in mid and they wanted to fight, you can do the reverse of what we saw before, where you push in this way and you push in this way, and then you can outnumber in the jungle. But the reason why it's not so simple there is because Corki can get there soon. He clears the wave faster. Yeah, exactly. I just always need to just call Jan before I start any stream. So Corki clears the wave faster than before, so you have much less time, and it's Renata as well, so like can stall a lot, so it's much more dodgy as a thing to try. So this is the thing, is that even though the lane's going well, I still think it would be better to have gone... Like now you want these matchups, but before I think you wanted the swap. As Janex. Jun goes in. I want to play for the grub. So to play for any kind of objective, what you want is you want push here, and at that moment, you're hitting the grubs. Because when we talk about tempo, we're talking about time. While the enemy has to do something, like while they have to clear the wave, that's where you can do the grubs. So if the enemy is clearing waves for, they wouldn't ever be, but let's say they're clearing the wave for 30 seconds, then it takes you 30 seconds to do grubs, then you get to take this like for free. You just take it while they're doing the other thing. And so Jackie's TP's mid so that he can be on time for this wave. Like even though this isn't a terrible wave state, like you could just walk back to mid here. He TP's because they want to push this, then they want to go towards this side and use the numbers to make sure this is pushed in and then come back and take the grubs, or even come back and then get the mid prio again. So Jun is here to make sure he can push this. Camilo is also going to base and TP back. I think this is a little bit disjointed. There's no reason for Jackie's, I think, to be right here on mid lane. Like he can be around mid, still get back to mid first to catch it high, but also closer to help. Because Jun goes in as if we've got this big numbers advantage, and we don't, because Jackie's is still sitting on mid, and Camilo actually TP's here instead. So Jun lives just... And we see more fighting around bot lane. So Jun lives and burns his flash, but it's because it's like all just a little bit disjointed. They get a wave for it because the wave crashes in a mid. Let me try that. I'll change this to... Oh no, yeah, I've tried both. I've tried it as default and as I think either way it doesn't come through for you guys. So I'll just have to check before tomorrow. Trying to, but failing. We're giving up. Unless you have any new ideas. When I see a new idea in chat, I'll try it. But for now, we'll just have a me talking stream. So like I say, from my point of view, they're a bit disjointed. So I like this coming back early because you've got 30 seconds for the grubs, which means that on this wave, you want to get prio, and on the next wave, you could be doing grubs because they come every 30 seconds. But here, the fact that we've got push in mid doesn't do anything because currently Jackie's is just too far away. If Jackie's is here, I don't know why he wouldn't be. I don't think you lose anything for being here because you can still get back to mid first if you want to, unless Camilo TPs. Maybe he's expecting a TP here and he wants to catch Victor on this ward or something like that, but he's just a bit disjointed from Jun. And so Jun walks in as if we have this massive time advantage because Corki's here and they are playing as if Azir is also like here, like ready to come. Whereas, and I think this engage is good if Azir is also here and like comes in and they fight. But instead, Jun's just a bit by himself. He gets the flash over the wall though, so it costs them flash and they get some poke. But losing flash on support, but also the opportunity to do something. So it's not just to support flash. However, because they have the health advantage, they're going to just secure the grubs. It's 3 for 3 in grubs, and you already instantly, you see Heretics already instantly, they crash that wave in. They know they have to base. Because their support is super low, so unless they just insta-go for it, they've used a bunch of ults as well. So like the most important thing for me in team fights is the ult cooldowns, probably. Then it's flashes. So flashes in general, when you're not just had a fight, are almost always the first thing you should consider. But literally because they used, okay, right, we got a flash, but we used a bunch of ults for it. We can't fight this without Xin ult, without, I think, did Victor not ult? No. Without Victor, without Renata ult as well. How good is No Way? Seriously? He's very good. He can be very good and also the worst player on the team from a competitive point of view because all the team is insanely good. But I think he's very good. Like he could for sure be playing in like major ERLs even without the like if he wasn't a streamer is what I mean. So then take grubs, in which case the enemy just goes hard on the other side of the map, and this Cassante teleports back. What you Heretics want to do is come through this way and just basically take control of this area. They want to set up for the dragon that comes up in 30 seconds, but they also get like deep wards down, so they clear the blast cone, get deep wards down, and they're going to play the cross map. And Giant X fully commit for the cross map, so they teleport to top lane with Noah, see if they can get anything on the return by diving. And again, you'll see that the spam pings come out, so grubs happened. So while Giant X went for grubs, Heretics went this way. Then while Heretics go this way, Giant X go this way. And again, both times they want to push mid and then go to that side, not just run straight there. And this is one of the problems with Ambessa is that, I mean, she's much better at it than, I don't know, Quinn or whatever, but you will have to have people playing weak side at points. Stend instantly resets. Instead, they decide to match, or at least match with some people. And that way you can walk back up to the tower when your support arrives. But this is like, if you want these camps and the dragon, you should be going for the camps now and then the dragon on the way back. But I think they want the dragon and then they want to see what the enemy team does. So either you're taking the dragon, the camps now, and then you come back to the dragon and then you come back out. That's a good thing if you're a jungler in solo queue. If you've got time, you think probably to do 2 different objectives. You do the one that's further away from you first. So if it's like, I steal camps and then I do dragon, or I steal camps and then I do herald, like not herald, scuttle. Well, herald too, but those kind of things is a very useful thing to bear in mind. This is my OBS audio settings. I don't know if you want like, this is the properties. Where's the advanced audio settings? Here. Okay. Does this need to be both? This setting's fine. I am lost. Do I want that instead? Is that better? Okay. That didn't seem to help either. Oh, like here. At the moment it's this, but I can put it to default instead. But I haven't changed any of this when it was working. So the only thing that's different now from other times is that I'm doing this multi-stream. It honestly could just be if I turn off OBS and turn it back on, it'll work, but I'm not going to do that. So we'll just have to leave it muted for now. And we'll run through the rest of this game. So like I say, he gets punished for going too far. More range wins the game. I mean, haven't Giant X mostly been running dive comps? And they're 3-1? They've been running like this comp, but with a Kali as well. I think range is useful if you don't have engage, and range is useful when people are being undecisive. So it's probably a bit more useful earlier on in splits. I think that's definitely true. But I don't think, not from what I've seen, but like I say, this is the first ones that I'm fully like analyzing rather than just watching. So like I say, it gets pushed out, doesn't manage to take quite as enough of the jungle as you would want, but still takes the dragon as well. So it was dragon for grubs, grubs for dragon. This kind of gold lead is not negligible, but not all that big a deal. I think the thing I always say is 10%. And it's just from the extra kill and CS, basically. Just 1v1 CS in top, 1v1 CS in mid. I mean, it's pretty much even now. So you put your AD carries mid to allow your supports to just perma roam. It's a much safer lane, and they both have a lot of push, so you can put two people. If you can post a link in the chat, you're welcome to. I don't exactly know what you mean by where you post a link. Yeah, thanks. If anyone knows what's wrong with those settings, let me know. So Jun TP's back. I mean, Jun comes as Jackie's TPing actually. Okay, so they're swapping the lanes over. So they're TPing with this Herald coming up. Carlson probably expected it to be Lot with the TP, which is quite a fun little swap because they're both in base. And so what will probably happen in the comms is like, okay, is in base and Casante's base, and there's a teleport coming top, and they'll probably think like that's I'm assume he thinks that isn't that's Casante, in which case he's in much less danger because there's no massive scoop. So the scoop gets them the kill. They trade TPs as well. So not only do they trade TPs, but they get a base. So Camillu didn't get to base before he TP'd. And they have push in top. So because of the even match, you crash a wave in bot. Now the teleport comes in. Yeah, so I think Heretics can't push up that far. Like if you had someone die, so it's already going to be difficult to contest this area. Then you're teleporting bot lane. You have to know that Casante is just going to wait for you and then teleport behind. So the tower ends up getting traded, but another few kills. And now it's like a substantial lead, right? And now it's Heretics have to come back into this game. And Azir on a side lane is just going to be super, super obnoxious. He's got his Nash's Tooth. He's going to take bot tower as well. So the tower wasn't even a full trade. I think Lot's been really good, by the way, from what I've seen. They take Herald for bot tower. But I think you'd almost always be taking towers in this situation, especially in the LEC. I see so many Heralds just like not do that much. They can use it to break up a mid, I guess. Closer goes for dragon. Rail's going to base, so useful thing to be making sure that you're all like on the same page and doing the same thing, but not overcommitting resources. So Jun walks that way, fogs towards the dragon, and then resets. So you don't want to just do nothing, but you don't want to like do nothing compared to the dragon, like completely be disconnected. But you also want to make sure that if you go to the dragon, you are not like all just 5 doing it. Then you're going to just be committing too much resources for the dragon take. Yeah, Closer looked good coming into that horrible situation at KC as well, right? I think he's a good leader and he's a good like stabilizer for teams. And that probably is what you need when you've got double rookie solo lane and then a potentially very aggressive bot lane. Let's look at how the sequence goes. Jackie's has just got free time, so he's fogging and now he's just trying to annoy Shio. He does manage to get it, which is nice. And they're just fishing for any kind of fight here because they've got push in mid. They don't need to go to bot. They're just seeing if they can get a pick. If they just get a bunch of like a chunk, for example, this Varus ult. If it hits stand here, then you can just chunk him. You might one shot him, but you can also stay at range and just chunk him. So they use a tool, but they get some vision down. Jun base is trying to be basing out vision, so he bases like around the corner. But then Closer, like, okay, Jun goes back to base and Closer still goes for the fight, which is really silly. Like, you've literally just seen you all going in. Like, this is, I think, just a big in. So you give a shutdown away, for nothing. For no reason, really. It's hard when it's not direct to camera, because I feel like always are just missing stuff. So traded volts between the mid laners. Yeah, like you either have to base at the same time and both turn, or like when he's based, like you just don't fight that. And that shutdown puts the gold back in the same place. Okay, so we were talking about ATAKHAN before, but like I was saying, now we've got a little vision of it. So ATAKHAN is here, not here. And that is incredibly important, that extra distance. Because in these objectives here and here, you get the same distance from both mid lane and from the side lane, pretty much. And now because we're past 14 minutes, mid lane crashes first. That means mid is the most important. Because the mid lane crashes, and then you can get that pushed in, come this way, and then you can threaten or stop the opponent pushing in top. So if you have push inside and they have push in mid, almost always you're going to be pushed out of the objective because they can crash mid first, stop you pushing side, and then still cycle back around to the next mid wave because it hits first. But that is all messed up with ATAKHAN because it's further away. So I don't think mid push is as important as bot push for this ATAKHAN, just because of that extra distance. And also you've got these little walls, like that little one there. I don't know if you can see my little drawings. All these little walls around it. So they do have Varus still in mid, and they do have Azir still inside, because Azir is very good on the side and he can push and he can threaten the Victor with the scoop if fire comes around, which is always good. So they're just pushing up side. They're basically this is the point of the game where LEC gets quite boring because there is other stuff to do in between objectives, but we don't seem to ever want to do it. So we just ping waves back and forward for a bit. They're going to use the Herald to try and break mid. They are going to take it. So the Herald did end up being a trade for tower. Trade tower for tower. Now, 39 seconds on the 39 seconds on the dragon. So this is back to what we said. This is the normal objective. This is the normal distance away. So they want to teleport in mid so that they can secure mid prio, try and chase Flacket away even. Then they come in this way towards the dragon. Come in this way. It's super hard now for Flacket to connect. So you'll see Heretics want to push up mid and come this way, but the dragon's up in 20. So this next wave will be the one that will actually let you be hitting it. But this first one was the one to control the area. So Jun is waiting to see if anyone oversteps, anyone goes too far forward, or if you can find a good engage. And look at how difficult that is to check into. And now because of this, you want to be fighting for this next mid wave. But actually Heretics get it, but they get poked a lot while they're taking it. So this is where the like range thing is important. And if you're just pinging waves back and forward, range is more important because there'll always be opportunities to get these things of poke. So they do manage to get the push in. And now with this tower, they want to just start the ATAKHAN. Okay. So the Azir tower will keep the wave pushed up on that side so that you can just keep prio in that lane. Then they want to play for a fight because if you start taking the shred from ATAKHAN, it can be quite dangerous to play for the fight, especially with like Victor and stuff. Everyone's still here. But Camilo checks in a really weird way. Like he's just separate from his team and so instantly loses half HP and flash. Now they're going to reset. They play the next waves. Lot can TP back in. Yeah, so Camilo checking in a really weird way is going to cost them ATAKHAN. Don't think you need to TP there. I really don't like this. Like when you're losing ATAKHAN, so many LEC teams still run over. This is the worst objective to run over after you're losing it. Because any fight that happens, you're going to lose because you can't kill anyone. So if you're maybe they don't realize that Giant X is just going to go back to it, but that seems a bit weird. So Camilo comes in a really silly way, loses flash, has to base. But do they not know that they're just turned back on it? I think they have to know this. I think this is super obvious. I don't even think you need to TP as lot until they start to come forward and contest. But they still run over to contest. They just have no idea how long it takes. And it's down while they're in range to fight, which is always going to be the worst kind of situation. Because Closer can just jump into stall and yeah. I mean, this then becomes like the game is lost, which is ridiculous. Yeah, you could run over if it's the flower one and you can try and steal as many flowers and you can still play for the fight. But running over and watching them take GA ATAKHAN is like just a ridiculous idea. So instead, what you should do from here, you say, okay, right, we fucked up. We gave them ATAKHAN because we did that. You got two options. Either you have to contest it straight away and just instant reset and instant TP and you're already contesting it. Or you play super hard for here. You try and push this as much as possible. You play mid into top and you try and, I don't know, hurt this tower at least, take these camps away, put wards down and try and threaten on the sort of Baron side of things, or at least have vision on the Baron side of things, leave them in weird situations. I think they just have no idea how fast the enemy takes it and they are and they're just disorganized in this moment. Like their first contest was really disorganized with Camilo just running off by himself, where they didn't have vision on lot. But is this just going to be the end of the game then? So I'm probably not going to, as this has already taken quite a long time to get through one game. Obviously, we had the audio things that we stopped for. Once we're in these kind of situations, I'm just going to kind of skip forward and assume, yeah, they just win the game. So a very sloppy ATAKHAN contest originally, and then an incredibly silly like later contest. So Camilo needs to be in the right place. And that's something you can get away with that in ERLs. But you should always be punished for that. in LEC games. Understandable, by the way. I'm not saying this to be like, therefore he's bad or anything like that. I think I just mean it's a big deal in these moments. Then the whole thing was just like, you could give them ATAKHAN and they don't necessarily get Baron. I said this already. I think someone asked it in the Q&A, but taking ATAKHAN and then running to Baron and doing Baron for me is a really strange idea, because it could still work, but I think probably what you're finding is that more teams are actually could have just taken Baron anyway, but they didn't. Like, they could have just done a T1 Baron and they didn't. But now they're just brave enough to do it, because in reality, as far as I can make out, maybe I'm wrong somehow, but as far as I can make out, the only place where ATAKHAN GA buff isn't useful is when you're doing Baron. Because if you die while Baron is low, you are just as good as dead, even though you arrive in base instantly afterwards. It's just the same as if you died, because you're not there. And so you can just die and you'll still lose the fight, you know? So if you gave up GA ATAKHAN, you just have to play a little bit safe for a bit. You're still decent in terms of like late game. You're not too far behind in gold, but instead they try and fight it afterwards. They try and like late contest GA ATAKHAN, and so the fight happens and that's it, you know? Yeah, so they win. Okay, so game one. We'll go to game two. Same again, I'll just skip through the draft kind of thing. Victor first pick, especially after nerfs, is strange. Victor already is much lower prio in other regions than in LEC, but now it's been nerfed as well, so that's interesting. Yeah, so many teams go to Nash with ATAKHAN and get aced. Yeah, exactly. They run to Nash and they're like, oh, this will force a fight. It's like, yeah, but also this is the only place on the entire map where having GA ATAKHAN is actually not, like, we make GA ATAKHAN as little OP as least OP as possible. Okay. So, like I said, Victor first pick is strange in most regions, but it's been very high prio in LEC. So, yeah, is what it is. SK have been the ones who just like directly copy drafts from Gen G and stuff like that, and done it. I think it was like not against the pick that it was supposed to be against, or was picked against in LCK, but it's interesting anyway. So Kalista ban, same as before. So like Corky's up, for example, and no one takes it. Wukong as super high prio was interesting, but I think it suits this kind of like style that Vitality want to always be like looking for fights and stuff like that. It's the tank Jace again, although Jinax has done some strange things with the tank Jace, where he did Grasp and AD Jace and then Airy and tank Jace. And it's going to be Sport Elise. Blind Braum is bold, especially for Hylissang, by the way. And then what, top Gragas? So Gragas into this tank Jace. For some reason, Nak has not got a name, which is a shame. It's heartbroken. Oh no, I haven't seen any of these games, so we'll have to. You can enjoy my experience of it live. So, do you want lane swaps? Maybe if you're Vitality, maybe you want the lane swap, because I think this Braum into the Elise can be difficult. But to be honest, you know, I don't think I've seen Elise into Braum. Mostly when you're playing the Elise, if people want to, it's either into something squishy where you wanted it straight away, or if people wanted to counter it, they counter it with something more aggressive. So it is going to be the lane swap for Vitality, and you want to just play to clear the waves. As the Gragas, he's probably not going to build tank, right, because of the rune, but... Oh, this is a bit silly. Okay, it's nice. It's an interesting path, but he also just is going to lose teleport for a gank in the lane swap, which is really, really common to go mid. That matchup of Gragas into tank Jace is just really bad. I wouldn't guess so. Just because every time he he wants to be more in melee form, and every time he jumps in, you can always knock him away. And now you're in this same situation before. Like if you're going for the lane swap, the first camp you're taking on the weak side is going to be like the first few camps. You probably want to take them before the enemy jungle can get to you. That's the thinking, my guess here. So even though Jace is going to come in and harass Linces, if he started on the other side, then Sejuani would easily have the time to go and just invade on that side. And it's much more dangerous if it's a Sejuani than if it's a Jace. So he gets all three camps on his weaker side, and Nak gets level 2, and so they can defend the dive. Teleport comes out to take the wave on top side. Now Varus is coming back to bot lane. So you want to just play for the first few. And now teleport coming. We'll see if it's a mixture of tank as well. But just without that rune, I would expect it to be more about the poke. I think if this Q lands, it's kill. Maybe it's not actually. Wait, where's Elise Repel? It would be a kill if the rest of the fight played out like this. But he's not comfortable on Elise. Because at the very least, you can repel and then just stay in the repel for as long as possible, even if you don't play it perfectly, and get your repel so it can go onto the minion on the other side. Because also when you die, you're giving the passive buff to Varus, so it makes it harder for everyone. But considering repel is still not used, I don't mind the flash, and I think you could maybe repel straight away and then flash. Like you can repel up, wait up, drop to the minion, flash away, and then I don't think he even ever kills you. But that's a bit, so you've got this minion still to jump to, but now you just stay up in the air, drop down and flash. But he switches to it could just be it's on cooldown. Maybe that's why Illisan goes so aggro. Because we didn't see that, that's the problem. Yeah, I think if repel's up, then you win. So maybe Hillsang's only going because he saw repel and we didn't because we were looking somewhere else. Because repel's got a long cooldown, but absolutely you should not win that. And they didn't, but even if that Q hits, you shouldn't win that. And then they dive. Elise is actually, I think, all right in the lane swaps as well because the dive. So they're still not going to show it. They're still not going to show the fact that the repel is gone. But I'm just going to trust in the standard of people playing in the LEC. Hillsang only goes forward because repel is gone, and he didn't repel because it's gone. And now they look for the dive. Okay, so here, I think it's the quiz that we did. I think this tower hasn't reset. It used to be 3 seconds, which means you waited for 2 tower shots, but now it's 5 seconds because this first hit just one shots. So look, tower starts hitting people now. So 25. Yeah, so this is a still charged up version. So it used to be that you waited just 2 hits, and that's what everyone would have, like, not only in their brains, but like just natural response. But actually the tower hasn't reset. So when it hits, I don't know why Hillsang's not tanking it first as well. Like, I don't know. I need to see what actually happened specifically there. Okay, so I think Kazi hits like a millisecond too fast, but also if they need to wait another second, they can just wait for it to drop off. Because now it's like fully stacked and they keep the stacks up, and so they both die. It's not fully stacked, but it was like 3 hits or whatever, so you might as well. No, there's no Nord scrims today. I'm going to be sharing my stream calendar, and on my stream calendar we'll have all the Nord scrims, so you can have a look at that. It's pinned on my Twitter, and it'll be in the link tree once I share it properly. And we go top, and we die top as well. I mean, they're still doing like okay, you know, like they go for these super aggro moves. I really like Vitality. I like the fact that they're actually specifically trying for something. Hillsang is dead again. And they take the grubs. So they got a kill top, they pushed the top wave in, and then they fought them around mid, Vitality, to try and contest the grubs. But because they got chunked out, they can't, and then I don't know why Hillsang is there. The problem is that because Hillsang plays on all these windows like, okay, repels down, for example, and we don't see that on stream, it just looks like he's kind of inting. So I have no idea what he's thinking there or seeing there. From what we saw on the stream, I think there's no reason to go there, but maybe they saw something about Sedge backing or something like that, and Sedge went round in a different way. There's all these little tricks that go on in games like this that you just don't see when you're watching like this. But unfortunately, I think I'm not allowed to take the Ruffle file and do it like that, even if I could, which I can't at the moment because it's broken. So now they try and dive. At this stage, it's not really like tank Jace, right? He's just about as tanky as any kind of Jace. No, I didn't get a souvenir, actually. I had a look in the airport, but I couldn't find anything that would be appropriate. So I came back with no gifts other than my presents. Yeah, I think there's no reason to go in and the top side is Braum. With Repel being down, if the flash Q lands, they just kill. So there's absolutely reason to go in bot side. They knock him out of tower. Still almost gets a return though. And anytime you're going to commit resources to one side, enemy's going to commit resources to the other side. So they play defensive for the dive. At least dives are really obnoxious as well. So they back off and let the wave die, and then they come back with the next wave. And so it's harder without the minions. So you'd have to tank some tower shots to get there, and then that almost always changes the dynamic, unless you're being really outnumbered. Oh, is that so? That extra glow, that's the deep ward. So we were talking. Someone was asking about the domination tree, but it looks like Loopy has the deep ward one with this electrocute. They just keep chipping away at the tower. Because it was 2 for 1 on the grubs, that means you haven't taken the stack for Feast yet. Okay. So Vitality want to play aggressive on this wave. They take the red and then they start to come over. But because they don't have push in mid, they can be outnumbered. But Linsis really blocks the W's the ult really well. But they still didn't have push. So they recall. Reek plays mid, recalls. Syek wants to push one more wave and then recall. Grub's up in 45 though, so he's always going to be a bit late on it. So if he wants to contest them, he has to recall and then come straight to Grubs. Whereas Rika has push before and also has TP. So he's going to catch the next wave really, really high and then push. And that means that even though Like Hylissang really wants to protect this wave. Like he really doesn't want, he wants this to be able to push out so that they can try and play for the grubs. But Rika can be here on the wave as well. So if Loopy wasn't close enough, but then they would get the push. But instead, Rahel can still push. Isma coming here to cover, and they're going to get the grubs, which is going to give them the actual bonus of them. But once again, they don't get a stack because they're going to have one denied. And all this time, the one place that does have push, Naknako pushes in bot and comes to this side. So it's going to be 4 for 2, I guess, on grubs. Vitality will get the one on the back, but that does mean you still get the little voidling spawning, right? So still good, considering you didn't trade it for 2 dragons, you just traded it for 1. And also, because Naknako roamed up, Jinax gets to not only... Oh, I didn't move myself back, sorry. Pro streaming. Yeah, he gets to come back up and then go. Sorry, Naknako comes up, so Jace gets to take a plate. So now moving around the map and getting these windows where you get like a few autos on the tower is always going to be benefiting the team with grubs. So this is what I was talking about with T1 before. They move around the map so quickly that what happens is every time you just get a few autos on the tower, and then you spawning the grubs, and you just chip things away and you just chip faster. So they get the dive, you block the... You take the tower shot with at least you should let it hit you, and then before, like, let it shoot at you, and before it hits you, that's when you repel. If you repel too early, you can just also use it to like absorb a tower shot. But here he's not actually doing it for that, he's just doing it anyway. Then Hylissang gets flash, just super pushes forward. They collapse one person on the return side of things, but it costs them teleport, and so this play is just a nightmare. Okay. So they're too late on the thing for the cross map, and then they start collapsing. So there's 1v1 up top. Both mid lanes are TPing down. So it's a 3v4 because someone's dead. But they think they're overextended enough. However, Victor on the backside, Isma with the ult still up. And they're going to get tower, I would assume, as well. They just need to have one person auto at once. Okay, I mean, they lost the local gold for it, I guess. Maybe. I can't see if Victor got gold. Don't think they need to lose the local gold. I think someone could just recall a little bit closer. Yeah, so at this stage, the fact that Gragas isn't that tanky, like if you were tank Gragas in the lane swap, it doesn't make any difference. But now you're, as in because you haven't built a tank item, so it makes not no difference, but less difference. And now it's now you've actually built items. Now you're more easily diveable than you otherwise would be, but you do clear the way faster, of course. Okay, so Naknako again prioritizing a lot, moving around the map, but against the fact that the enemy has grubs, losing another tower. So, right, it's 3k down already. This is a problem. And it's poke Varus, so, you know, poke is useful, but it's not like some late game scaling monster kind of thing. Sayak does get a tower on the other side because everyone went to top lane, and that tower's really low. Like you can't defend that for very long. So you just play aggressively on the other side, and let them take the half HP outer tower. Then Janax is gonna collect this. He has the TP. Sayek gets his Nash's Tooth. And you're trading it for Herald, right? So this is like, it's not a direct trade in that they happen at the same time, but it is happening because you committed resources. This side, you've got all these wards down, which is what allows you to get Herald, and you did that while you were giving up this tower. So rather than like just playing again towards the bot side and defending that tower for a little bit longer, you just trade it for the next thing. Loopy gets away to the blast plant. You can't be too far disconnected from your team as support, at least, because you do get a one-shot. What's your opinion on the G2 jersey? I think it's cool. I can understand why they would want to change from what they've been doing, but I always thought that what one they were doing was always really cool. I guess Elise pick not played out. Yeah, I mean, Elise, when she's not super snowballed, is going to be a little bit worse. Well, going to be worse than any other support, but it should still be a fairly simple game to close out. But we shall see. So Victor collects mid lane. Yeah, not everyone can play at least like Treats does. That is a good point. I'm actually going to quickly run off to the toilet. While they're taking a pause, I will also take a pause. I won't be very long. So I'll be back in okay. I'll let the game play out, unfortunately, without you seeing it, hearing it, because it still haven't fixed that. I'll let it play in case it suddenly fixes itself, but I'll be 2 minutes. Okay. Well, bad news is you can't hear it still, but I was listening to make sure that there was nothing too much to go back to. Doesn't seem like there was. Circle walking. No, I'm fasting today. I'm doing 1 meal today. Trying to cleanse a lot of the boot camp food and stuff. So I'm drinking lots of water, which is great, but it does mean that I need to go to the toilet more often. So we get the dragon, stop the stacking. There's no real way for Vitality should be able to contest that. How come they lost so much gold? They were 3k ahead. Like 3.5k ahead at one point, weren't they? Okay. Now they're 2. Now they lose top tower as well. People just respond really badly, I think, to Azir on side quite often. We had that in our game as well. Just Azir hitting a tower with Nash's Tooth is really obnoxious. Loopy defends to stall people, but then they get pushed in mid. Now they want to hard engage on this mid lane. And really nice block from Hylissang. Chain CC is not going to matter. but they lose that tower in mid. Now it's ATAKHAN around bot again. So like we said, you're in trouble. Please tell me that's a joke. So the push in bot is more important than it otherwise would be, which is partly why they put up this tower, I think. They want to protect their potential retreat, but also they want to make sure that they don't get, like when you start getting pushed into here on this ATAKHAN in bot side, then it can start getting a little bit dodgy. Thank God, it's a joke. Yeah, then it can start getting a little bit dodgy. So I'm just getting my chair to the right position as I just changed what I was doing underneath the desk. I wasn't stopped my elliptical thing. Okay, so tower goes down because then they can stop the ATAKHAN. Losing control of the ATAKHAN because it's bot side is more important. Mid lane tower's gone though. GNX is going to pick up a side. Kazi gets the wave in mid. They get control of their area once again. Sayek gets the base. This thing's almost basing, but doesn't, so they end up being a little bit off. Yeah, it's really interesting. These two guys obviously played against each other a lot in the LFL. I assume was what that stat was. Hillesang walks forward. That's the classic Hillesang engage. What soul is the strongest? I think Mountain Soul is very, very strong. I mean, Mountain, Ocean, Infernal. I really like Cloud as well. Anything other than Chemtech. I think after that, it's just always about. It's always about the comp, really. Rika is really underwhelming so far. It's early on, and they've not done well, so no one's going to look particularly good in general, I would say. Right. They want to fight for this. They want to try and get like bot push and mid push so that they can then play for this. But they're walking in as someone's on mid, so it's a little bit disjointed. So Rika can walk in here, but he can't go like too far, which is why Hillesang thinks that he can go. So I obviously don't know how this fight's going to go, but Hillesang I think is going here because he sees them and he thinks it's a bit disjointed. But it's close enough, I think. Yeah, okay, yeah, we did see this, yeah. So we saw the beginning of it. Hillesang's going to flash out. He's going to ult his eyes. So they are close enough. But Nanako was already TPing behind, so he has to play for a flank. They're just using blue to try and mark him. Now Kazi dies because they're threatened on the objective. So now they play for steal. Okay. Don't think you need to let it drop. Maybe you do with Sayek TPing. But I think you can just stay there. Wait, did I just jump? No. Okay. I jumped back a lot by accident. Okay. So they stopped taking it. It does take longer to do than obviously like Dragon and stuff like that. It's not quite as long as Baron, I think, but it does debuff you all and it does a lot more damage if you get caught by some of the things. I think this one is easier to take as well than the one you see more in scrims. Rahel goes really far forward, they get cleansed, the Q doesn't land, so he would maybe even die, but it doesn't land because I'm assuming it's a WQ. I can't see the Varus stacks, but I'm assuming he still has the stacks, so... Site's coming forward with poke. Hillisang protects him. So that's Sejolt down. Naknako's just threatening on the side. They're not going to get ATAKHAN, I think, but they're going to get Dragon. 4k down and still like pushing people out of objectives. It's not bad. So at least at this stage, like, is much better for picks than any other support, but probably worse for other stuff. So if you're not pushing into areas and controlling them and playing on like Elise Vision to pick people out individually, then it's worse. So like any of these that land on Hilly, he's very happy. Any of these cocoons. And Nako's going to get the push in bot. I mean top, but Rika gets push in bot. And they go instant for the Baron. This is good. I like, see, this is again like a thing that's interesting about having this objective on the other side of the map. I like having a bit more like balanced. Matty very vocal on macro shot calling level. Not particularly. I mean, he's incredibly good AD carry, so like all ADs will have like ways that they want to fight and stuff, but our most vocal people are Treats and Centurion. But Matty has very clear picture of how he sees the game and is very good, especially in reviews. Like I'm going to get him to do a thing on how he wants people to team fight with him, which will be really useful. Are scrims in LEC also way more bloody? Yeah, even more so. Yeah, I would be shocked if GA ATAKHAN appears in scrims, LEC scrims, like ever. Especially Vitality scrims are going to be way more bloody than even normal scrims, I'd guess. So the mid wave dies and it's both been like super cleared and they just rush it. And this is something that T1 kind of showed everyone that you can actually do. And this is the thing where like you get GA ATAKHAN, you do this, and then the people watching are like, oh, it's the best use of GA ATAKHAN. It's like, no, this works without GA ATAKHAN or not. And then Hillisang just buying time. Then they get Baron. And they all get out. Yeah, just really clean. Like just a slight lapse from SK, but punished. They had to go straight to it. So this actually, we had some discussions that we've had in our team around this, and this is what Vitality did here is what Treats is almost always calling for. You have these moments where you just can insta run to it, and look, the second they run, Naknako's running as well. They're all just going for it. This is why I think Vitality have much more potential in later seasons as well than some of the other teams. They're starting to build this thing of everyone being on the same page, everyone trying to see the game in the same way, and they're doing it consciously, which is really exciting for the future. So we have these situations a lot where like one person's saying like, oh, okay, I want to push through mid, catch mid high, and then go to control the area of Baron. But actually you have these windows to just insta-go and just rush it. So it doesn't matter that they've been seen because it's just, all right, they're in the wrong position. And Hillisang can slow just enough. He slows perfectly. And then the Gragas ult keeps his mirror away as well. Great that the Sedge ult didn't hit anyone. Just really nice sequence. And you can't even necessarily rush for ATAKHAN because it's all fully on the other side of the map. So like this way around, if you could choose, is better. Baron and then ATAKHAN. Nako. So they want to play on mid bot, which is good. So we talked before with Jackie's when he was still sitting on the mid wave. The people who are fogging, or he was still sitting here, right? But the people who are fogging now, they're in the middle. They're not on one or the other. They're in the middle, so they're ready to collapse if people overextend onto someone. So they have to go for one SK. So they insta go for Nako, and everyone's ready to come around from behind and make this really difficult. So it could be he's going a bit too far, potentially. But they're there in time. Yeah, so he's not too far. Yeah. I mean, I really like what they're trying to do. Like they're going for something specific, and that's if they win this game, like that won them the game, you know. Now they'll get ATAKHAN. And that's the power of like playing two lanes and playing in between the two lanes. You can be defending both as long as the person on the lane knows that what their job is not to fight, but to just stall. So they all go for Naka and he just stalls. He doesn't have to stall very long because everyone's ready. And the same thing again, just to reverse. They're going to go mid bot instead, mid top instead. I keep doing that. Now you are threatened at some point from Rika, but because you've got the ATAKHAN GA, you probably just want to dive as well. So you're going to lose side tower, but you're going to get that one in mid. I mean on top. Now it's a threat. Now you probably just stall as much as possible. But anytime anyone reses, they come back to base, right? So you get inhib. When they die, they instantly come back to base. Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to do this for all the games for now. 2 reasons. Partly so that I can review the games, and I might as well do it with you guys rather than just do it by myself. It's much more interesting when there's people here to watch and enjoy it as well. And the other thing is that allows me to not have my wife just sit through LEC games every day, because 3 sets of how many hours, like I need to watch it, and rather than do it in the evening where I'm like a little bit distracted and also it's unfair on her. This is a much better way of doing it. So glad you're enjoying it, and for next time we'll hopefully have audio, which will make it more interesting. Right, so inhib down. They'll just do the same thing now as if they had Baron probably. They'll play on mid bot. And because this wave is like de-pushed all the way to here, that means it's going to be a long time until SK actually threaten anything on this side of the map. So the thing here was, because the wave was already there, that meant that Jinax is threatening this tower like sooner than otherwise, which means he takes this tower and this one. And if you just had Baron, let's say, this actually would be a really good trade for SK, because you'd probably go inhib for inhib, even though you're against Baron. But because it's an ATAKHAN buff, that means they'd be super aggressive. When they die, they instant respawn. It's quicker than resetting even. So they're going to do the same thing. They push mid. Top is going to push by itself. You're going to come play for this dragon. It's Dragon Soul. You teleport in. I don't like, I've said this probably on stream before, I don't like that this sweeper, hey Jamal, I don't like that this is a sweeper, because the thing that I would say, I don't mind that there's something like that exists, but at this stage of the game, Scuttle Crabs are kind of incidental. You're not going for Dragon because Scuttle Crab is going to be up, or like going for a flank because Scuttle Crab's down or something like that. Like, you're playing for a flank because at 30 minutes you need a flank. And this is such a game-changing thing that you can't like choose to do it. And it could be like an absolute nightmare, right? Like if you're flanking here and you've got a really nice flank and suddenly this spawns, it's like, well, fuck. But it wasn't like, oh, okay, I can't go for this flank, or I only go for this flank because this is down, because this is such like an incidental thing at this stage. So that's why I don't like it so much. So they take it, they clear the wards away. They've got the poke from Kazi, and Sayak and stuff very strong at this stage. We'll see how the team fight actually goes. Mid lane is being pushed. The other thing you can do, of course, is Vitality, is you just peel away and you just say, fuck it, we'll go mid lane. But that's not exactly their thing, to peel away from a fight. So Naka goes in as the ult comes out. Actually, they've got ATAKHAN as well, so they should always fight this. Didn't realize it was still up. So they can just play super aggro. Mid lane tower goes, and they get soul. And they kill them all, and they end the game, I'm assuming. Yeah. Like the Scuttle Crab is not like, it's going to happen regardless of the game state. It doesn't really change the game state. It just sometimes makes it really broken for one team and sometimes doesn't. And that's the thing that I don't really like. I mean, Isma rage quit. I don't think you're allowed to do that. Well, I know you're not allowed to do that. They used to be very sassy about it. Maybe they've relaxed. It doesn't look good when you have left the game on the screen. Okay, so we sum it up. Last one was about ATAKHAN. Heretics just messed up twice around it. Camille, I think, really weird way to walk and contest. And then What was the throw here? Was it? Oh, it was the Baron. It was just the Baron, right? Yeah. So at 4k down, Vitality just get a really nice Baron. I don't know, actually. I don't think... I'm not sure. I think it's already really hard. When you're in this state, it's very hard. I think you have to fight. Because gold-wise, like item-wise, they're not that much stronger. But it's going to be so hard because they have complete control of the area. But they're going to have complete control of the area because they've got inhib down and they can play through mid first and they have the GA ATAKHAN, so they're much stronger. But you can't... Maybe you have to just give them soul, but I think we say that mostly in retrospect, you know, like where we say that because they lost the fight. If they'd have won the fight, got rid of a bunch of the GAs, and then, you know, played the dragon, then maybe we say you have to fight that, because it's not that... Yeah, I don't know. I'm rethinking it. I think the soul is too strong. I don't think you can give Mountain Soul in this game. It's not that this fight is like winnable or like a winning situation. It is winnable. It's not a winning situation. But like, okay, let's say you've got a 40% chance of winning this fight, but if you give them soul, you've got a 30% chance of winning the next fight, even when they don't have the GAs. So I think that's the way to kind of think about it, is you're always balancing these things. It's about your scaling, but also a lot about the state of the game. What's your opinion on SK? I feel like they're always 3k up and they stop doing anything. Yeah, that's quite common in LEC teams. It seems like they don't do anything in between objectives and they end up just gradually losing games. This one for me, though, it's not... I don't think this is on SK. Like, this for me is like Vitality. That's an insane call for Baron. It's really good. 10 out of 10, you know? This is not SK massively messed up. But it's hard when you're 0-5. It's hard to think that way. It's hard to think, actually, we don't need to change anything. They did a really good call. Not that they don't need to change anything, but you know what I mean. So that's that game. I need to work out how long this is all going to take me as well. So we're on game 3. Oh, there's loads of cheering KC fans, but KC's not in the game. Okay. Is this super high prio Maokai in the LEC? Let me look. Is it super high prio everywhere, or is it just super high prio in the LEC? Yep. Overall, in this season, it's 1, 2, 3, like I'll show you. Maokai is down here. Top leagues, it might be higher, I guess. Top leagues, it's lower. It's down there. 32% presence. Obviously, that presence thing is a bit weird because Fearless means it could be in the first game and then still is only going to have a third presence. LEC, third. So it's 92% presence in LEC. Everywhere else is like, this is not good. So who knows? Who knows what's going on in LEC scrims with Maokai, but whatever it is, it's stomping. This I don't understand, but like if you're banning Draven and Kalista obviously are both hand hammered bans. But the big thing for the Draven ban would be threatening the Kalista first pick from my point of view. Maybe they're just playing chicken. And they didn't want the Kalista, but because that would be the like sort of standard counter, right? Then on this side, you've got Skarner, like we said, that's just permaban because it's still broken. Then you have a different choice. I quite like this meta in a way. I don't like the Skarner, but other than that, like each time people are making different decisions with the OPs of do we trade them or do we just take them or do we ban them, like all those kind of things, which is good. It's annoying when it's just consistent, like every game is first pick Maokai because the other people play. I need to watch the rest of the draft because I haven't seen these games, so I'm just doing it live. So I've just talked about the bans. We'll wait till the last picks come through. Learn a blind. Rakan as a counter. Let me just make sure he locks it in. Okay. So Maokai, useful because it's flex. Ezreal, just super safe AD. Azir, scaling mid. That were classic. Varus has a strong start, but a little bit more immobile and a little bit less safe than Ezreal. But still, Varus very strong. Xin, super early, is not common. Skewmore's lost his name as well. So that's a tragedy. But it's just their choice of fighting jungler, I guess. So no Wukong or anything like that. They just go for a fighting jungler instead. Yeah, in terms of the team comp, you've got the side. You should have the side pressure, especially early on. Although I don't know with the tank matchup, I don't know what happens there. You just really need to play skirmishes as G2 because I think the team fight is ridiculously difficult. It's going to be so hard to get on these champs with your champs. You don't have all that much engage. You've got Xin running at people. You've got ult here and ult here, but I think it's hard to play this. Yeah, so if you win sides, I agree. By the way, Sharpie, like if you win sides, but you get outranged and you have bad engage, you need to be coming from multiple different directions. So the idea would be, you know, enemy pushes mid because mid is the best, like we talked about, and goes to the objective. You push the side, whichever side it is, and then you can try and find a way round, you know, or same in mid. If you end up fighting for the mid wave, one will just run and the other one will come through both sides. But you would maybe want more, like if both of these people are on a really insane flank, that's how you win. But Maokai saplings just make that so annoying. Oh shit, sorry. I fucked it again. Okay, so for next time, I'm going to fix the desktop audio so that you guys can hear it. I'm going to make a draft option and in-game option so that I don't forget to like move things around. I think it was Azir and Jace that I was blocking and pointing to. So not only blocking, but blocking crucial ones that I was then pointing to while I was talking. That's the level of production that you can expect. Okay, now I move myself back. Yeah, I think you need to snowball and you need both your solo lanes to be like really strong position. You can play maybe just to kind of play defensive on Varus, and we'll see. Just a fan level 1. Maokai's going to take Sapling and take Raptors. Oscar is going for the tank build. The G2 do the lane swap. The downside is the lane swap, like, does Renekton want this as well? Isn't Varus like a strong laner? Okay, this is interesting. This is what I wanted to see. Like, you might have seen us have a discussion about it. Like in these lane swaps, like just freezing the first wave until they leave, I think is a really interesting idea. You have no chance to get on the Ezreal. Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard to get on Ezreal. And you also don't have particularly beefy front lines to just like block everything from Ezreal. Even Rakan is not as much as like any other support would be. So Fnatic are going to go for the dive. Broken Blade flashes really terribly. Oof. I mean, nice try from Oscar. He just wants to, like, if he just fucks with them and gets out, it's really good. But in the end, it's just a bit silly. Broken Blade just can't flash here. Like, he has to wait. He's trying to flash because Maokai's going to tank and then reset the tower. If Oscar gets this kill, it's really strong. But I think his Q gets interrupted by Labrov W, sorry. Oh no, he's just level 1, so. Oh no. Okay. He's level 2. The double TP comes in. Yeah, and lane swapping when you need to snowball is a bit silly. So Mickey comes up to defend the dive, but doesn't show, importantly. So he's able to get this pick on caps. I think a lot of people just show and more obviously defend, and now they're going to come around. Are they going to threaten Renekton again? Renekton's got no flash, they've got no double TP, a wave crashes in. Xin should be doing the same thing on the other side of the map. See, he tanks with the Q, then W's to reset. Now your Renekton has 4 CS and is 0-2, so your one chance of a big Renekton getting on their backline is always done, because almost done already, because like Renekton's not going to get on their backline. Sorry, because Renekton doesn't matter if they get on the backline. The getting on the backline thing hasn't changed, but the strength of Renekton is a bit different. So now Oscar is going to die in the same situation. Same thing. It's bad for Jace, it's bad for Renekton, but I think Renekton being strong and snowballing was kind of a crucial part of what G2 needed to do. So it's strange to me that they went for the lane swap. Because I wouldn't expect them to think that they're going to be really far ahead. Yeah. Azir gets a little bit more of a free lane because there's less, like in the lane swaps, it's more often that both teams know where both junglers are because they're diving. In which case it's better for mid lane in terms of whoever needs the ganks. And Silas can threaten ganks, but doesn't win 1v1. I mean, Broken Blade has been able to get a bunch of CS, a bunch of XP, and this is a big one as well, right? He's instantly using the XP advantage. So once this wave crashes, Oscar will hit to 5 easily, and a bit, 5.5. But at this stage, he's got the level 6, so they instantly pop it, go for the 2v2 dive. And this is good, but I can't help but think they wanted this lane earlier. Now Jace TP's back. They play heavy on this side. I don't think... Oh, maybe you can. Okay. I was going to say, I don't think Hans can step up there because Razok was 6, but he does have cleanse. They didn't decide to try and stop him. I mean, this is quite scuffed. I think you don't let them come back to the tower here. You shouldn't. Razok should know he's going to get 6 off this camp. You massively chunk Labrov out. I think if you're going to go, now is the time you go. And also you don't know where Xin is, so Xin can be here. He can't be here now, but he could be here soon. Whereas if you just go now, with the 6 coming in from Razok, Mickey can burn cleanse, and then you instantly go on Hansama. And then they missed the opportunity, and so they think now they want to do it. Thanks, Simon. And instead they just die. And Labrov is not that close to dying. And now Skewmore's going to come round. Like, this could have been happening the whole time. Maybe just the Jace matchup into Renekton early is good enough that you want to swap away from that. Maybe that's the thinking. And so you can swap back when there's more levels so that you can do this. Maybe that's the thinking. Okay, Cap takes the ult. Humanoid gets away without using any summoners. He's probably going to... No, he's going to clear up the wave before he resets because there's no objectives to come back out. They crash this wave in. just a chill period of gameplay. So Razok shows bot, they crash in the wave, the G2 has to back off. I think they just take a plate though. And Caps has to base and TP because humanoid based and matched. Based and TP to mid, so then he forces him out of the next wave. So Caps comes around and starts to recall in a safer position. But as he recalls, the ult comes in. But they've covered it, so they didn't kill anyone, did they? Strong level 1, and they hoped it would just turn out well. Yeah, I think so. So with the swaps, there's two things. It's either you're like avoiding the whole matchup, in which case you keep swapping, or you're avoiding like the early stages. So for example, if you're playing against double ranged and you've got a like fighting composition, like I don't know, Kaiser Leona or something that's like super extreme, but your early levels are really bad when you can't threaten an all in, and as soon as you can, you might swap back. So like you might do level 1, 2, 3 by yourself, and then you swap to the 2v2 because you just want to now play for fights. Now you can actually threaten the fight. And I think this maybe they're thinking the same thing with the Renekton. Like if you match 1v1, the Jace can get so far ahead that he's not vulnerable. Whereas if you're both behind, then he's just really vulnerable to being dove. But like I said, for me, the downside with that is that the Jace isn't like a super crucial part of their way their composition works, where I think Broken Blade is. So yes, they managed to get a kill and assist on the Renekton, but he's still less fed than he would be. He's got 50 CS less than other solo lanes. So they get the Gromp for it. They don't quite get the plate. Humanoid continues the whole roam down the whole way. Caps is just playing for poke. They stole the Maokai, chunked out the Maokai, so they play for the second grubs. And Fnatic don't care, they're just going to go to the other side. So if Maokai didn't get chunked, they probably would play for the grubs again. But considering they did, they just take the second one of the objectives. Mickey's just trying to play on the limit to like mess with them, basically. Maybe he doesn't see that Hansam is 6 as well, but he does live. And now G2 are able to get both sides. No. So Razok's got no ult. Oh no, he does have ult. He just dies anyway. I think you just ult here and then die. But now it's too late. They got the objective anyway. Humanoid gets out, gets a lot of chunks, so he's going to get probably a plate. Or maybe that plate is already gone. I can't see. In which case he doesn't want to push it because he can't get another whole plate. I thought there was a tiny sliver left. There's still one grub, so it denies the feat of strength if you take it, but that's it. Oh, you get 4 actually from Fnatic. So why did G2 not just finish this? Like, why did they stop doing these grubs? Why did they stop taking the third grub? They just leave it to come fight a dragon? So it ends up being 50-50. But maybe this is the thing we were talking about. They need fights. So they're maybe already feeling a bit stressed from it. But now you're in a situation where G2 are going to get the dragon and then, Fnatic are going to get the dragon and then they also get the grubs. Like they get the 4 grubs, so they get those spawning. Because Caps is too low, he's used his TP, so you force them out of mid. Now there's a wave crashing in top, but then Mickey moves to mid, and so you can't stop this dragon. I mean, this grubs. Seems strange. I think you should just take the grubs and play hard on top side. But maybe if he wins the smite fight, it's worth it. Don't think it is though. Even then, I'd rather have the grubs buff. Especially considering you want to play on side like we talked about. So now if you side and move, then enemy has grubs on towers. Doesn't seem like this Renekton rolls over Jace. in the later stages if you get a couple of dives. So don't really know what the fourth pick Renekton is. I think Renekton is a complete bait almost always in Western regions, but maybe it'll be different this season. Looks like it's going to be damage Jace, or at least this like Shojin, like half one, where you go Shojin and then you go Fimbulwinter, rather than just Fimbulwinter into Adendi's Spare. To 2 ults. Then Cap's just caught in a side lane. Oscarinian's buying as much time as he can. But you spent a lot of time here. And I mean, maybe he's going to get to the point where he's starting to become like really powerful. Doesn't particularly seem like he will. We take Herald. Caps goes to bot. Upset comes around. Just recalls, okay. Like if other people have kind of come forward and threatened this, no, they're not. Upset just wants the base. Humanoid's trying to base. So it's just like a chill between more objectives, but any chill time is good for Fnatic, like we talked about. Like 0.9k gold, like this is fine. They trade the tower. On the top side, I mean, Fnatic. Like they just watch them do Dragon as well. Maybe they just misjudged how long it would take. It's much harder to get in for Dragon than the ATAKHAN like we saw before. And Upset's not here. So both ults just go forward. And here you see how difficult it is, I think, for G2 to play this. So they hit 2 people with the Silas version of the ult. It's a really nice stun from Mickey onto, is it Hans? But Hans, it didn't cleanse it. Oh no, Skewmond, which is good. Stops the follow-up, so Razok can actually W and then flash out. And then they just don't have anything left for the carries. So one person shut down. They just keep chasing them. Who do you think the highest cap support in the EU is in, like the best possible when they're at their best? I think it's hard not to say Mickey. Like until I'm fully proven it's Jun. Like I think it's Mickey. I think Mickey's the best support in EU. But I do think Jun is very, very good as well. And I think maybe more value. Jace has too many tools and range form. I don't think can do well against range. Yeah. I think Jace, like obviously the Jace was a counter as well. So not only was it Renekton, but it's a blind Renekton. Especially when you could have also gone the blind Jace. But I guess you just want something really aggressive to play with Xin. But Xin was your 1-2, so it's all a bit strange. I don't know what G2 were thinking in this year. There must be something going on with the team that think they need a change up for some reason. I think a lot of times trick ourselves in esports that we need to change things as a team. But if you get that in your head, then you have to change something, I guess. But for me, like when I hear them talking about it, it's really disappointing from my side, I think. So if there's nothing wrong with what was going on, like Mickey and like didn't have like behavioral problems or those kind of things, then I think changing is kind of silly. We have this idea as if like, oh, well, in 2 years, that's the best they could ever do. Firstly, year 2, they won absolutely everything. So they can't do any better in EU. And at Worlds, they had there's all this stuff like the wrong meta, the hardest draw, like any of those kind of things. So if you're replacing players based on your world's performance, that's always that feels bad, like purely based on it. As in, if they'd have gone further at Worlds, they would have not replaced players. That's kind of crazy. But also the thing the other thing that's crazy for me is that Yike, for example, he played one Worlds where he was his first ever Worlds, and then the next Worlds he already knew he was being replaced. So like, how do you expect him to perform well and have like his mind on the game? Like, it's just, this is crazy. So I don't know what's happening. I think this version of G2 might eventually become better. I'm not sure, but I think they'll be worse for a while. So maybe after a year, they'll be good enough to win everything in EU, but they were already that good. So I think it's strange. But we never know from the outside. So they have much more information than me. So we have to just trust they made the right decision. Hey, Sharpie, thanks for the sub. I'd assume it's either trying to change. Yeah. Well, if his contract is up, like, you can also renegotiate people for lower contracts if it's just about money. If his contract's not up, then you need someone to buy it anyway, I guess. I can't remember if it was up at the end of this year. I think my worry is it's about the change thing, because people convince themselves that you need a change. And the downside is, from like a running the org point of view, is that if the players have convinced themselves there needs to be a change, otherwise we're not going to do well internationally, then you can't fix that. You can't just convince them otherwise, because so much of it becomes about belief. Well, maybe you can, but it's very difficult. And so the thing you think that's irrational becomes the truth, and then it's a problem. The idea could be rules failed internationally, therefore we need to change. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I think everyone, we're thinking the same thing, and that's the thing that I think is a bit sad. I don't like that. I think that's an unfortunate way of looking at things. But like I say, the problem is that if the players genuinely believe that, then it doesn't matter if you believe it as an org, because it becomes true. But I think from the last 2 years, I would not say G2 can't perform internationally. I would say G2 messed up one best of 5. And that's a very different way to approach the same 2 years, I'm aware. But from my point of view, if you go into Worlds thinking like it doesn't matter about the draw, sure, that's a nice way to go into Worlds, because to win you have to beat everybody. But you can't seriously think that all the Eastern teams are the same standard and NA teams are the same standard as well. So if you're going to make roster decisions based on it, I think you have to be a little bit more sophisticated with how you judge it. But like I say, we don't know the information. So they obviously, they've left on good terms with the players. Like, they don't want to say, oh, they were just a problem and all this kind of thing. But I think if they were like, if there was no problems, then I think it would be silly to change based on the stuff they've just said publicly. But they're not obviously obligated to do what I think. Yeah, change for change's sake is often a problem in short-lived environments. It's true. But you look at T1, right? So not only did they stay together for a bunch as that 5 and they won back-to-back Worlds, you could easily have come second at Worlds and say like, oh, we've got a problem winning finals. Because by that point they really did. They'd got to a bunch of finals and they had a problem. So we have to change something. They didn't, and they won back-to-back Worlds. But what people also forget is 4 out of those 5 were already playing together, and like they were already on the 10-man roster. So they've been together for years. They were together for like a full year before the year before they. So like, what, 4 years or something? Most of that team was playing together. Like more than, like, we've changed 2 players from G2, right? So 4, just changing the top laner as well, let's be honest. If you're going to change one player to have the least impact on how the team functions, you just change the top laner, you get a better 1v1 person. Bring in Zeus. So, I mean, I think we don't even need to look beyond esports to have examples of teams getting better after a longer period of time. And yet, I think we're still just slow to sort of realize that. Anyway, ran about G2 over. Let's keep looking through this. So they're still, the gold is okay, but they're still in not a particularly good spot. Hand step's quite far up. Mickey going for like instant lock it because that flank and they need to just get on someone and like pop them. Yeah. Yeah. It was leaked, but that doesn't necessarily mean the leak was true. I know it did become true. And like I say, from the player's point of view, I think they would treat the leak as if it's real, and so they would play like shit because you'd be thinking, I'm already being kicked from this team before Worlds. But I do take Khamai's word when he says it wasn't actually decided before Worlds. But that's, I don't think, that's also not a good thing. That means you're deciding based on how well you did at Worlds, and yours had the toughest draw, and you still said, well, we didn't make the semis or quarters or whatever. Okay, let's watch this game and then I'll look at the chat again because I keep getting distracted. When I do more of these, I'll get more used to doing the long one as well. Okay, so there's still this ATAKHAN thing, just chilling in bot lane. Still the red one, so it's the GA one. They use the ult just to try and find pick, but then they walk really far forward afterwards. Now Upset runs back to mid lane and they're still fighting in the river, so they're too far away. But Mickey hits a great ult on Hans, who has no cleanse, sacrifices himself and for the team, and Caps is TPing in too deep. So just gets peeled back on because Mickey just smashed this fight. But they shouldn't go that far forward because Upset's going back to the wave and Humanoid's too far away because he's pushing bot lane. But now because they've got Caps for Mickey, they want to threaten on ATAKHAN. And they can just throw shit at them as they come forward. I don't think Fnatic want this 50-50. Yeah. And this is just comp. Like, how do you get on them? And so it's good, right? You start the ATAKHAN because you know they have to come to you. And then because they have to come to you in vision, they're never going to win. Like we said, it has to be people attacking from outside of vision. They're just getting poked out by everything. Yeah. I mean, they're just... this is like... Yeah. Unwinnable. And now you've got ATAKHAN. Now you've got a decent gold lead. The game was always in a pretty good spot, though, exactly from what you guys were saying. Like, the game being slight advantage or even is not a good spot for G2. And actually, yeah, Humanoid doing better than Caps. Mickey smurfing. It's always these grudge matches, right, where Mickey's going to play the best in this game, of his regular season games. He dies and he withdraws, and they keep running. They're going to get 2, maybe. Yeah. They're going to get 2, but they lose 2 towers for it. And obviously they both instant respawn. Range advantage versus low engage, yes. But if you have lots of engage, then range advantage, people with range are often bad if you get on them. So it's not just range is OP, but range is OP when you have this. Like, your engage is what? This ult, we hope. These two have like no engage. You have to just run at people. This is only like follow-up engage. If he runs in by himself, he just gets one tapped by Maokai W. So I think this is really hard to win. Then you can just do Baron over the wall, so that Humanoid is there to be in the fight, and he can just pull back when he needs to. They take the Baron. So this is a better looking fight because you're already there, like you're already actually making the fight happen, and it's not just like super organized. So this ult comes down, but you're still just running out. Like you're just running out of gas basically. Like it looks better because the fight starts like where they can already get a fight happening, but they have to just put everything into killing Leona, and then they just don't have the damage to kill like both the carries. They get one, and then they just lose the other one. Yeah. The disengage is a good point as well. Like its engage should always be judged based on the comps, right? Like you can't just talk about engage in isolation. It's either like, can you get on the enemy composition? That's what you're. Is this the last game? That's what you're really asking. Victor first pick again. It's LEC meta. Victor first pick again. Maokai ban again. Let me just look back through their ones. Leak was so toxic, even if it's true, which I don't believe. Any professional org would have to contain that. And if you're a news outlet, serious one at least. Yeah, I don't think this like Sheep Esports thing is a serious news outlet. Like, I think the thing with Callis, they're just fully made up because they have a new French sponsor. And so this idea that they were going to trade Callis for like 3 people and also millions, like I think it's I don't think that ever happens. I think they're just lying. Like they're intentionally misrepresenting the truth. Whether you call that lying or you call that like poor journalism is up to you. Answering questions, maybe you do it during the lane. Yeah. I'll try and work it out. Like so. Oof, thank you. Was about to start talking about draft. So for next time, like you'll see this work progress, not perfection. That's what we want. Next time, I'm going to have hopefully desktop audio. Zero idea what's wrong with that, but I'm just assuming I'll be able to fix it. We're going to have 2 different scenes for draft and for not draft, and I'll find times to reply to questions and stuff, like maybe after game or when they're like this. Like I'll just stop it occasionally, do it occasionally, all that kind of thing. So, I just had a swap come through. Okay, it's going to be the checks, right? So we already talked about the bans, kind of same thing, but like it's weird, right? Corky not picked or banned last game, banned first rotation this game. It's all about what you're used to. And now we see the trade, Callista, Draven. We've seen Callista on Draven before. That's going to be annoying. Callista. Victor super early. On 4-5, you ban a Kali because it's good into Victor. But again, if you're taking like a Kali mid, we're not super convinced. It's not like range is always OP in LEC or anything like that. So Jace as the blind, Silas is the answer. Well, you just got these 3. The Silas ult is not super high value, but with Draven is going to be a range support. I mean, not a range support. An engage support or Renata probably. So that's going to be a good ult coming through. So Silas into the Victor. Jace blind seems like really safe, and obviously Canna's Jace is very good, even the non-tank version. So I'm assuming the tank version will also be good. Then in terms of the comp, playing sides, playing skirmishes, but way more engaged than before. Sejuani, Callista ult even, Rel, like if you had these 3 plus the Silas Renekton last game, it would have been much better. Let me then move myself back. Okay. Now I'll move myself back. We'll get there in the end. Okay. So they stack level 1. This Callista Draven matchup is like the most snowbally matchup I've ever seen in scrims. Callista Draven. There was once a point where we were playing with Unforgiven and Heaver, and I can't remember who we were playing against. And we had like a Flame Horizon at 104 CS or something like that. It was like 104 CS to 4. It was absolutely bonkers. But that only happens in scrims, obviously. But it's still very one-sided. Not one-sided, like snowbally. Okay. They get the ward down. And then, yeah, they're just seeing. Okay, so they do want the swap. But they're waiting around mid to see someone appear, and then they go for that. They go for the whatever they want, like once they get the information. So they zone away Jace. Yeah, they have a lot more like DPS for sure, but there is quite a lot of tools for Rogue to get on people, and you can, I think, make Callista's life quite difficult. So they get the plate. Also, I think Jax is probably quite an annoying an annoying matchup for AD carries, although at least Draven has the stand aside to stop the jump. So now they're going to threaten the dive, and Targmas is not there in time. Why did he do this? Okay, he came to. Okay, so he was there for the first one, which is why they didn't dive the first one, and then he's just not there for the next crash. Yeah, seeing Rogue with a comp that needs to be like Marang obviously has been a bit more aggressive sometimes than previously, but with Larson on a pick that needs to like bully a side lane and then come on from like some mega flank, that's not really something that I'm used to. And then Targmas just trying to walk towards mid and just realizes too late that he's left a massive window open for Canna to be dove, and Canna's thinking that Targmas is covering him and then just is not being covered. So that's a bit of a disaster. Like Targmas just has to go, like when Mauron goes towards bot, you have to go towards bot. You can't try and get a cheeky gank in mid. Yeah, I think having like while Rogue can be more active in the early game with these players, I mean they sort of changed them a bit. That first game that they played was super boring. The thing that I think Larson hasn't really been good at is having the champion that has the agency in the mid and late stages of the game in terms of like, or needs to be super proactive with the agency of it. Like, so you need to force stuff to happen on Silas. You need to be super aggressive and go for things. Whereas on like more of these control mages, you can let the play kind of come towards you. Is it just Dragon for grubs trade? Maybe not, because you don't have push in mid. So Larson gets pushed away from mid. Marang starts it while Execute is going back to top lane. But now you're going to be outnumbered because you get pushed in mid. You take 2, and Patrick getting jumps on. Okay. So Canna kills him, and they also get a grub. So not exactly an even trade. Adam TP's top, does get the kill. Okay, but they shouldn't just keep, like, I don't know why they run up here. Like, you just trade 1 for 1 and take the grub, and then you play on the other side where your Draven is. Yeah, the grubs versus Drake trade is sometimes. Yeah, I personally would always rather the grubs, but I know our players, for example, would actually rather the Drake a lot of times. It takes the pressure off a little bit later stages of the game, like if you start the stacking and things like that. And you get fights. Also in scrims, the dragon is normally better because you hit towers less. Okay, close with a double kill. Let's see how that happens. It's just a dive. So these guys just keep staying around top for a really long time. When so like after this play, if you need to know that bot lane is like weak side because he just stays up too long. And now you've weak sided, not only you've weak sided your Callisto, you've weak sided against the Draven, and they just take the opportunity dive, and like that's a huge swing in the game. Because now if you can't kill this Draven, it's going to be a nightmare. And Kliss has been absolutely smurfing so far in the LEC, like living up to the hype for sure. And now he's in a position to just carry this game. Yeah, I think the soul is so far away, and I think you have 6 grubs. You shouldn't be in a position that you're not, like, you should be stronger by third dragon for sure. But it's often about how the lanes are, how things shake up, where we are. You don't have the first like 5 minutes of the game fully planned out. You have ideas of what you want, but you're always going to have to adapt. And so it sometimes ends up like this is just how things are, that we can go for this, and you're either proactively going for an objective or you just wait. So Canon OTP. So Adam is running up. Cannon's going to get the push in bot. You still have enough now, though, that you can get a couple, right? Yeah, grubs and dragon do change based on your composition, especially if you want to play sides. You want the grubs. Like Rogue here really want grubs. Because if Adam gets fed on the jacks or even late game, like he's just going to kill towers super, super quick, which is great for him. And obviously last on the side lane. If you have side lane pressure, grubs are good. But also if you are grouped, they can be good because you can stop the enemy from getting them and stuff like that. So generally group comp wants dragon more and split comp wants grubs more, but I would say I like grubs anyway. And then like KC do this like weird soft contesting. Jace is definitely not here. They have all the grubs go, and then they still walk forward into like engage range of this. The Rel. So there's just like 2 people really close, and Rel has 6. So they just, I mean, maybe even more of them could die there, but they just, one person dies and the grubs. So you just give them that extra thing to make sure. Yeah, and even if you've got a group composition, you will have moments where you're just hitting towers. Like here, you know, if you had 5 grubs, you'd maybe take more of that tower. Yeah, and it gives you so much pressure to be able to just be faster on any cross map because you've got grubs. It just really changes the way the game's played. I mean, look at Lost Returns, right? When they get grubs, they're just always across mapping and running around the map fast, and they take loads. Push through bot. fight is just really weird. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do. You don't have cholesterol. You just run into 4 people. Okay. Then that's... You do TP back. So rather than... You take the dragon and you trade it for 2 plates in top. Again, it would be 3 plates probably if you had swapped the grub score around. So that's another reason why they're good. Now you get 2 plates back in mid. He misses from Larson, otherwise it would be kill. Lack of... Yeah, a lot of LEC teams do have these periods where they're just like not really accomplishing much. They're just pinging waves back and forward like we've seen. And this Jack Sejuani 2v2 is really strong. Yeah, he can keep going forward because he has the lifesteal. He gets the double. Don't know how we're in this situation where Patrick's just running around all over the map now. He does get to base though, but they still just like lose a wave in mid. Okay, here. Oh my god. He just 1v2 killed them. And it's just because they just played it really weirdly. I don't think you need to cholesterol there, and he's more likely to die. He still has cleanse though. This Bloodthirster first, back to the old Bloodthirster on Draven is just like... Oof. And this so much of this comes from just... You just weak-sided your bot lane versus Draven, and so they just got dove while you were just trying to roughly hit a Jace on top lane. I also feel like 3 grubs are more important than the second 3. You don't want to give another 3 away. I mean, maybe. If one team's got 3, then it of course threatens because you can just take 1 with smite and then run away. I don't think they're necessarily more important. They're different. It's like, is the second dragon more important than the first? It's like, sort of, because you're a little bit closer to soul, but then the other team gets it and now you're both far away from soul. So it's, for me, quite similar. Like, I wouldn't really necessarily think of second grubs differently because of the grubs, more just because of the state of the game. So in that sense, they're a bit different because, like you say, you do push faster. So, but if you've got the first 3, you'd still push faster by that point. But the fight happens very differently because the first grubs normally doesn't have like support 6 and stuff like that. So the fight happens very differently. I mean, so this isn't a situation where it should happen like the G2 one, but it might. Although I don't think this is like... So they come through mid, Canna's come as well. So it's going to be like a full 5v5. What you probably want is a position where, like, okay, Adam's threatening the flank, but Larson is just sitting here on vision where we all can see him. And so Larson just goes on front line. They all go on front line. Targamas comes forward to buy some time, and Canna comes in with a massive Q at the same time as Callisto is just free hitting. If you play front to back with these comps, I think you're just going to lose. So you can't do that, and yet they are. So Canna knocks away Adam to stop his E, then comes forward Q on execute. Yeah. If you play front to back, you just have way less damage, especially when Draven is so far ahead. And so you can't all be on vision. When you're doing this objective, if you think they might come and fight, you have to be like waiting on flanks and playing weird situations. And this for me is just a bit of a like sort of natural change of style thing. Like Adam is already just waiting on flanks, but we need to have like Larson, if he's coming, like come back here, and we still need to get on the back line. Like we can't just try and kill Yike because we'll die before they die. Larson's takes the Xin ult, which I think is not that useful. You need to take Leona ult if you can, and you need to be here, and you need to be trying to play on the fight as they come forward. you play on the back line with Adam on the other side. I think that's a way for this fight to be winning. I don't think it is winning or anything like that, but this way, front to back, I think is not not optimal. Yeah, first tower for the grubs, yeah. Although if you're high pro in grubs and enemy takes one, you don't get the feat for the dragon, I guess. I mean, for the objectives, but I think in practice, it's better than it used to be. And it was already stronger, I think. So they TP for the kill. They also stole the Herald. Yike, steals things a lot. They play on mid bot. They let Larson push up top. They're just killing mid. I mean, it's 5k up already. So like, I might not watch the rest of this really, to be quite honest. Let's skip forward and see if anything's different. I mean, 2.6k diff in 80 carries. You have to know if you're picking Kalista that Draven's coming. And you can't weak side it on a massive crash. I think that's already really, really tough. And then after that, you have to play fights front to back and you have to kill this Draven like straight away. Otherwise, he's just going to be too fed. He just runs through your front line way quicker than you can run through theirs. So I don't think this is a really rogue comp. Maybe they've been spamming it and winning all their scrims with these kind of comps where you have to come from multiple directions, but they have so far over all the years that it's been in the LEC shown that they can't do this on stage. So I don't know why they would think that they can now. And then you can't not play your Kalista when there's a big crash in bot lane. Like, you should die from that. And now Kalista is just soloing it because he can tank with the Bloodthirster. Then they get it, and because it's LEC, everyone's there to watch ATAKHAN die. So you then have the fight afterwards, which is the worst kind. Adam actually has the right idea. He's just like, fuck this, I'm pushing somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, I said, Kaliss is playing well. You give him this lead, he can run over the game. I don't think he even really needs to do much in this game, but he got the 1v2 kill and stuff. Well, they almost just ended the game right then and there. Yeah, so I think it's still just going to be, I mean, it's a 10k gold lead. Rogue had a couple of games where they looked better. But I think it's just the same problems. New players, same problems over and over again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was it then. So, like I said, a lot of things that I want to do better. A lot of things you can do differently, but lots of fun. I will try and get the audio fixed before tomorrow. It's pinned. My schedule is pinned in on my Twitter, which is at justjohn_lol, spelled the same as here. Like, sorry, not the same as here, without a zero, spelled like properly. Tomorrow I'm going to start at 11 a.m. and then probably be going straight into scrims. So we'll do the LEC review and then we'll go into scrims after that. But other than that, I'm going to do is pro game reviews probably every 11 a.m. That'll be the try for this week, and it might be different on future weeks. So thanks for watching, and I will see you